Hello. For this Tableau assignment, this should actually look a little familiar to you. So today, what we're going to do is we are going to recreate the pivot tables and dashboard assignment that we did in Excel. We are going to do that in Tableau. So let's take a look, just get familiar with this dashboard. Again, we already created this in Excel, and now we're going to recreate this dashboard in Tableau. So first, let's go ahead. I want you to open, if you haven't already, please download the Excel file for this Tableau assignment. Yes, we're going to upload the Excel file into Tableau. So let's go ahead and download that Excel file if you haven't already done so. And then go ahead and open that Excel file. So when you open the Excel file, it's going to look like this. And I want to bring this up because notice that in row 1, it has order details for 2014. And then in row 3 is where we start to get our headers. And then our information is starting from row 4 all the way down to the bottom. I think there's, well, we'll go look at it. There's 372 rows of information on here. So let me go back up to the top there and come here. So, and the reason why I bring this up on here is because this is an issue, not a big issue. It's just something you have to be aware of when you're uploading Excel files to Tableau. Notice that there's information up here in row 1 that's not necessarily needed in Tableau, but I'll show you how to do that. So, all right. Now let's go ahead and open up your Tableau if you don't already have it open. And here's mine. And so when you open your Tableau, you may have your first assignment right here already showing. And if you need to, if it takes you in and already shows you, some information down below, such as, your data source, your different sheets and dashboards, it's still working on your previous assignment. So if that happens, what you'll need to do is go up to the top, and it's off the screen here, but you would go up to the top where it says Tableau Public File, click on File and click New. Okay, and when you click New, it will start a new file for you. Okay, and it will have saved the old one there. So here is a new file right here, and notice that when I do this, it automatically goes into Sheet, and I don't have a data source. So I have to connect to the data. Notice that here I can go to data source down there, and it will bring me to this page, which is the page we want to start with on here. So on this page here that we start with, go ahead and click on Microsoft Excel because we got to link something to it. And now go ahead and bring up that file. And so this is the file right there, T2 Tableau for Pivot Tables Excel Dashboard. Click Open. And now the file is there. Okay. But notice this. Notice right here. I want you to notice it gives us an interpretation of the file. We got 26 fields, 370 rows of data. Right here is what it's telling us right here. And now notice here on our header section, it's got F2, F3, F4, F5, and 6 order details here. And this says null here, and then we got information. The reason why is Tableau is looking at row 1 as where the data starts. Okay, and that's not necessarily where the data starts. The data actually starts that we're going to be doing in row 3. So go over here and click Use Data Interpreter here on the left. Okay. Click on that and give it a second. And now it's looked at the data and goes, okay, we have order ID, order date, customer ID. This is the actual headers, and here is the information. Okay. So some of the assignments that we're going to do actually start with the data in cell 1A. Some are different, and we will let you know as we go through this practice and to learn how to do and use Tableau. We'll let you know when you need to click this button here, clean with data interpreter, or just bring in different sheets. And right now we only have one sheet, which is our data sheet. If we had other sheets inside this Excel file, they would all be listed here. We could join those sheets if we needed to, but we only have the one sheet right here, so we don't need to join it on there. All right. Now we can go ahead. It says go to worksheet down here at the bottom. So just like in Excel, we had sheet 1, sheet 2, sheet 3. We can go ahead and click on that sheet 1 and go to the worksheet. So you've already done, or should have already done, at least one assignment in Excel. So this should be a little familiar to you, but I'm going to explain a little bit more. And then here, if we wanted to create new sheets, we can click this button right here next to sheet 1. This button here that looks like a window pane or the 4, that is actually a new dashboard. And this is here creating a story in Excel. So new story, new dashboard, new worksheet. So we will create several worksheets. And basically how it goes is for every, if I bring this back up, for every chart or graph that we're going to create a new sheet. So just like we did this in Excel, where we created a new pivot table on a new sheet and then created this chart off the pivot table, we will create a new sheet for each of these, and you'll see why here later on. So, all right, let's go ahead and get started. Well, let me explain a few things here. Here we have our columns and rows. This is where we can put in data here into column and rows, and it will start building it here. Or we can drag, it says drop field here in the middle, drop field here. We can drop fields right in. We can also double click sometimes, and Excel is pretty good at guessing where we want that. We will do that in later assignments, not this one. And then we have some more information up here at the top. And as we go along in in Tableau, we will explain these. But we don't want to overwhelm you right now. So right now, just follow along. So the first thing that we're going to create is we're going to create this sales by region graph right here. Notice that sales by region, it goes from smallest to largest in this case here. So we're going to actually keep it that way, and it's orange. So that's what we're going to build. So what we have is we have our region, and then we have our revenue. So let's go ahead here, and over here on the left, we have what are called ABC measured names. And so when I say ABC measured names, it means things over here. And so this is text data. This globe right here is actually longitude, latitude data. Okay. So called spatial data. Right here, customer name, it says ABC, order date. This is calendar. So we have calendars, text data, and geographical data here. Now down below, we have what's called measured values right here. And we also have latitude and longitude because it actually has a value to that. We'll use those later on, not this time. And this is all of our numerical data. So we wanted again to recreate this sales by region. So we have region and we have revenue. So in this case, we don't want our globe data. We want ABC region because we're going to use it by the name. So I'm just going to take region here, and I am going to drag and drop it into columns. And now I'm going to come here and take revenue. And there's a couple things I can do with this, but this time we're just going to drag it into rows. And it just recreated our graph for us. Now in this, we wanted it from highest to lowest, or in this case actually from lowest to highest on there. So we'll go from ascending to sort by ascending. We'll just click this button here right above columns. We got descending and ascending. We're going to use ascending. Okay. In our graph, if we bring up our graph again, I'm going to bring it up. We actually have data labels. It's ascending, and we have our chart title right here. On this time, I'm not going to actually put in the 2014, so we need to change this to orange. We need to add data labels, and we'll make it look a little bit better. Now, on the last one that we did in Excel, we had gap width. We're not going to worry about gap width here. But we are going to add data labels. And so in here we have pages, filters, and marks. And under marks, we can see that it says label. Okay, we're going to click on label, and we're just going to click show mark labels. And so there we have our information. Now notice our information is just done in a number format. And so we want to make revenue universal when we use revenue here. Universal to use it as an accounting format that shows the dollar sign. So what we're going to do that is we're going to come down here to revenue under our measured values here on the left. We're going to click this drop down. We're going to come down here and go to default properties. We're going to choose number format, and it pops up here, and we want currency custom. The reason why is we're going to get rid of our decimals. Okay, and we're going to click OK. And so now we have this listed there. And because of that, we don't need this axes information here on the left. So I'm going to right click on that, and I'm going to unclick show header. And we just got rid of that. Now, just like in everything else, or a lot of things, we know that we can hit Command or Control Z if we made a mistake. So Command or Control, depending if you have a Mac or PC, Command or Control Z to undo it. Okay. Or up here, we have this back and forward buttons right here. So if I messed up something, oh man, I got to go back. I can do undo right there. Okay. So we want to get rid of that because that wasn't there. We also don't need this up here on regions. I'm going to hide field labels. Okay. And we had a title called sales by region. Now there's two ways to do this. Is I can come down here to the sheet and I can rename the sheet, which we want to do. So go ahead and follow along. And I can do sales by region and enter. And when I do that, notice that my title has changed to sales by region. Okay. And we want to keep the sheet name here for specific reasons. So, but I'm going to come up here to sales by region too. Right click, I'm going to click edit title. Okay. And it just has my sheet name right now, so it can stay that. Or if I wanted to change it, I can change it. So right now, this with the basically the two carets at the end are showing that my title is the same as the name of my sheet, but I can actually change that if I wanted to. And I like doing that. And you'll see later on in other assignments how our title will be different than our sheet name because we want to add things and our titles can become dynamic. So I'm going to highlight that. We're going to use Tableau medium and we're going to use 16-point font. And I am going to go ahead and center it right now so I don't need to do that later on. And we can apply it so it sees what it looks like before we click OK, or we can just go ahead and click OK. And this might look a little funny at the moment, but you'll see when we go to build the dashboard, this is centered over our data here. Now, the only other thing we need to do at this point is we need to change the color. This is blue, and if you remember, we wanted it orange. So I'm going to click on color over here, and we're going to choose, it's a very bright orange there. I'll choose the middle one so it's not so bright in this case. And we just completed our first sheet. So now let's take a look at the second sheet we're going to make. We're going to go ahead and make this sales by salesperson over here. This is our salespeople right here in our rows. Okay. And this, notice before was our columns. This is our rows. And then we have our revenue over here. So to start, let's go ahead and make a new sheet. We can go ahead and rename that sheet right now. Sales by salesperson. And notice that when we click enter, it goes ahead and puts that into our title, which we'll just leave that way for the moment. So now let's go ahead and build. our chart. So let's go ahead here, and we're going to go ahead and under ABC, we're going to find salesperson and put that into rows. And then we're going to take and find revenue and put that into columns. And we are now starting to build our chart. So now we're going to sort, this time descending. So come up here right above columns, and we're going to click this button up here for descending. So it now shows that Nancy has the highest sales. We're going to do the same things that we did before on our other one. We're going to add our labels. So I'm going to go down here under marks and click on labels and show mark labels. And it comes up with the revenue the way we want. Now that I have that, I can come over here under this axis and get rid of show header because we don't need that. And then I also want to get rid of this above here, this salesperson. I want to get rid of that. So under here is going to be hide field labels for rows. So it just makes it look better. And just like we did before, I'm going to come up here to sales by salesperson. I'm going to edit the title. And we can just leave it as sheet name this time since this is what we want. And just do Tableau medium, 16-point font. Because as we named the sheet, it also named our title up here. Apply and OK. And we're doing this so it looks consistent when we go on to building our dashboard. And I'm going to go back up here. I'm going to right click on my title, edit title again, and center the name. Okay. So the last thing we have to do here is, if you remember, this one was green. So we're going to change that to green. So while we're here, and we're only dealing with this, so we don't have other information in here, which will happen in other assignments, and you'll see that. But again, we're just working a little by little here. So I'm going to click on our color scheme over here, and I'm going to choose this top green. And we now have completed our second sheet and on to the third. And again, what that one's going to look like is we have our top 5 customers here. And this is done in yellow or gold. So we have our top 5 customers in gold, and that's what we're going to build. So to do that, let's go ahead and click on our sheet. We're going to go ahead and rename that one now, and we'll name that top 5 customers. Enter, and now it gave us the title. So to begin, we're going to take our customer name. We'll come over here under our tables. Measured names, we're going to come up here and find customer name, ABC customer name. We're going to put that into rows, and we'll come down here and take revenue, and we're going to take revenue into columns. And again, when you notice, is this does it by alphabetical order. So just so you know, when Tableau does things, it does it in alphabetical order. So it's got company A, company AA, company BB, C, CC, D, and so forth. So we want to sort that descending. So I'll come up here on my sort and sort it descending. And then the other thing on this is it's not showing the top 5. And if you remember, this was a gold color. So we want to show the top 5. But we can do some other things right now. Before we do that, I'm going to come down here and unclick show header. I'll get rid of that. Okay. I'm going to come up here to customer, right click and hide field labels. I'm going to come here to my top 5 customers, edit my title, highlight that, do Tableau medium, do 16-point font, and center it. Apply and OK. We can change our color while we're right here, and we can go to this gold right here. I'm going to choose this one on the yellows, make it look this gold color right there. And we can also add our labels, show mark labels. This is the 3rd time we've done this, so I'm going a little bit faster. Okay, so we have our top customers and what they've done. What we need to do now is just show the top 5. Okay, and to do that, it's a little bit different than we've done in Excel. So I'm going to come here. I'm going to come here and take customer name, and I'm going to drag it into the filters box above marks. So it's asking it how we want this chart filtered. So we have general, wildcard, condition. We can do conditional formatting and things here, and it has top. So we have top. Right now, none is clicked, and we can add a formula. We're not going to do that. We're going to do it by field. And so the field is revenue, okay? And it's the sum of revenue, which is what we want. So we're not going to change that because that's how it's listed here. And it shows top or bottom and top 10. Now, when we click this drop down here, it says enter a value. It doesn't go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and we just pick one. So we have to enter a value. So put your cursor in there, delete the 10, and put in 5. We can hit apply to see what it looks like. That's what's great with us, and click OK. And now we have completed the chart for our top 5 customers. Okay. Now on to the next one, and I'll bring up what we're going to build. The next one we're going to do is we're going to do this sales trend. Okay, we're going to do this transaction count by invoice amount, which was the last one we did in Excel. We're going to do our sales trend here next, and notice that it has 21K, 56K. So it has the K for in thousands. Okay. So to do that, let's go ahead and create a new sheet. And let's go ahead and rename our sheet. This is going to just rename it to be sales trend. And on our sales trend, it was done by order date before. So we're going to take order date and we're going to put that into columns. Take order date and drag it into columns. And notice when it did this, it has year of order date. So it's only doing it by the year. And we want it by month. So please pay attention to this part because there's 2 choices here. We're going to go ahead and click the drop down. And when we come here to drop down, notice that we have this year, quarter, month, day, and more. And then we have it again, year, quarter, month, week number, day, and more. Okay. And we want to use the second one. Okay. So this one here that shows month with the year on it, we want to do the second one. Okay. And notice now that it says month of order date 2014. We have sales trend up here. And then we have our tick marks with each of our months. So now what we want to do is take revenue and put it into our rows. And it just created our timeline, which is great, which is what we wanted. Okay. Now we're going to do a couple things here. We're going to add our labels. And so let's go ahead and add our labels. Click on labels. We did this before, show mark labels. And it now has our labels. And, you know, it's in these locations, and Tableau does it very nicely where it makes it look as what is the best to view. So we're going to leave those. But if you remember before in Excel, we created, instead of saying 55,602 up here, we just did it in thousands. So to do that, what we're going to do here is we're going to click this drop down under sum of revenue in rows. Click the drop down. And we're going to come here to format. So how do we want it formatted? And notice that it gives us a new pane, a new window over here on the left side. And we're going to choose pane right there. So you got axes and pane. And in the pane, under the first one, default alignment and stuff, we have numbers. So we're going to choose the drop down of numbers. We're going to use currency custom. We're going to use no decimal points, and it has here display units. What do we want it displayed in? And we want it in thousands. So let me do that again for you. Okay. So we see here that we had sum of revenue. This is what it looked like. So up here at the top under rows, under sum of revenue, I clicked the drop down. I went to format. I have a new opening pane here, and this is what it would look like for you. We don't want to change this stuff. We want to go to pane because it's working on this pane. And under default, we're going to leave grand totals, special values, and totals alone. Just under here, under default, we have font, alignment, and numbers. Under this numbers, I'm going to click the drop down. And it's going to be on automatic right now. And I'm going to go to currency custom. Under decimal points, none, because we've already talked about that in dealing with Excel. Unless you need a decimal, you don't use it. So pricing has decimals, unless it's in the thousands and tens of thousands. You don't need a decimal, but pricing has decimals. Most everything else we don't need a decimal for. Unless there's a reason for comparison, we need to go out 1 or 2 decimal points. And right now, it's got display units none. We're going to click the drop down and use thousands. And it just made this for us, which is what we want. And because we have that listed in thousands, we're going to come down here and get rid of, we're not going to uncheck show header. We're going to edit the axes in this point because we want to, if I uncheck show header, it's going to get rid of January, February, March. And if you accidentally did that, go ahead and click the back button or Control Z or Command Z. But under axes titles custom, so what I did is I came down here and I right clicked on it and I clicked edit axes. And this came up and I have my axes title. I am just going to delete the title. That's it. And now I just have my months. I'm also going to come here to the left side and get rid of show header on the left side because we don't need the revenue since we have the labels on that right there. I'm going to come up here to sales trend. Now, like we did before, I'm going to edit my title. I will highlight it. I don't need to change my title. Tableau medium, 16-point font. Center it, apply OK. So it matches all of my other headers on there. And we're just going to leave it in this blue color right now. So everything on here looks the way we want right now. And I'll show you how we're going to put this onto the dashboard later because we can manipulate the size when we go ahead and put it on the dashboard now. So we're done with our fourth sheet. We're going to make our fifth graph right now, and let me bring that up again. It's going to be this transaction count by invoice amount. So please follow along here. If you remember in Excel, we had to do a few things to get these buckets right. And in Tableau, they're called bins. So it's blue and it's transaction count by invoice amount. So let's go ahead and create our new sheet. I'm going to go ahead and rename it. Transaction count. I'm not going to name it by invoice amount here. I'll change that in the title. Click enter. And so while we're thinking about it, I'll go up here and edit the title. Get rid of the sheet name because I don't want to add the sheet name. Transaction count by invoice amount. Do what we did with the others. I want this Tableau medium, 16-point font, and center that, and OK. All right, now we'll go ahead and start building this out. So we're going to do things a little bit differently than we've done before. And the title gives us a little bit of hint on what we're going to do again. So this is transaction count by invoice amount. So what we're going to do is we're going to take revenue and we're going to drag revenue into rows. And notice that it's got sum of revenue and it gives us this one column. Well, this is transaction count. So we want the count of transactions. And we're going to click the drop down here and sum of revenue. We're going to come down here. We're going to come down here under measure. And instead of sum, we're going to use count. Now there's two here. There's count and count distinct. Count distinct is it only counts things one time. We're going to use count. I'm going to show you the difference. Let's go ahead and use count distinct. Okay. And now let's go ahead and take over here and we can put our distinct count of revenue. I'm going to highlight this and notice that it tells us 315. Okay. Now I'm going to come over here and do count, measure, and I'm going to use count instead of count distinct. And now I'm going to put my cursor over it and notice it says 369 on count, and count distinct says 315. Well, what it's doing is, let's assume that you have a customer or two customers and their invoice amount is the same. Okay. In other words, one customer came in and bought, something at the store and it cost $5.25, and another customer came in and bought something at the store for $5.25, on count distinct, it would count those as one. Okay. So we want all of the transactions counted. So not the distinct count. Okay. And you'll see in other Tableau assignments that we do as to why that's important on this. So in here we want to measure the count of each. Okay. And if we did it right, when we hover over it, this is actually your tooltip. So right here, tooltip, is count of revenue. We will work with tooltip later on where we can change what it says when you hover over it. Right now, we have count of revenue. We have 369 different counts on our revenue, or basically invoices in this case. Now let's move on to the next step. What we want to do is, if I take revenue again and just drop it here in the columns, it comes up here and gives us this spot up here and says, oh, we got 369 total invoices, basically counts, and the total amount is $435,036. So it didn't do what we want right here. And we can't do it in this. So there's two ways. Is you can click remove, or what I like about Tableau is just drag and drop. I'm just going to drag that off. And what we're going to do now is we're going to come here to measured values. We're going to go here to revenue. We can right click, okay, or do the drop down. And notice it says create. And we're going to go here and choose bins. And it pops up right now. Our field name is revenue bin. We're going to keep it that way. And our minimum, it shows 0, goes up to 7,938. Okay. And suggested bin size, we're not going to worry about that. So size of bins, okay, we're going to enter a value is, we're going to do it by thousands. Okay. Now there's a suggested bin size, but we're going to do it by thousands. Okay. And click OK. And now we have this revenue bin right here. It's moved from measured values unto measured names. And we're going to take that revenue bin and put it into columns. And now it shows the way we want it to. It shows that from 0 to 1,000 is this much, from 1,000 here, 2,000 here, 3,000, 4,000. We got 5, 6, and 7. So it shows us, 0 to 1,000 here, 1,000 to 2,000, and we have the different amounts. Okay, and let's go ahead and click on label and show marked labels, and it shows us the correct amount. Now, before in Excel, what we did is we counted everything at 4,000 or greater, okay, in a single bin. Okay, we can do that in Tableau, but we can't do it up here in revenue bins. We actually have to do what's called create a calculated field, and so we're going to create a calculation. So this gets a little bit more technical, and we're going to go ahead and jump into it right now. And do this right now, but you'll need to follow along very carefully. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a calculated field. So in this calculated field, we're going to go here to revenue. We'll do the drop down. We'll choose create and calculated field. And notice that we now have this calculated field pop up for us. Now, what we're going to do first is we're going to change the name. So we're just not going to call it calculation 1. We're going to do revenue groups. So we can find this. Okay. And notice it already has revenue in here. And just Command or Control X, because we'll bring it back in. Okay. And there's a couple ways to do this. And we're going to do what's called an if, then, and else if statements. So it's got to be precise. Now, in working with Tableau, when we do calculated fields or calculations, we don't start off with the equal sign. We did that in Excel, where you had to start off with an equal sign, but in Tableau, we don't start off with an equal sign. So we're going to start off with if, and just don't type in if and keep going. Click the function. So we're doing the function if. So if Command or Control V to bring in revenue, if our revenue, and if we didn't do that, we can always start typing in revenue, and we want the numeric revenue, and it's got to be orange. If our revenue is less than 1,000, then, and click on the then we want it to say 0 to 1,000, and these are in quotes. And click enter. Okay. And notice it says this calculation contains errors because we're not done. So if our revenue is less than 1,000, then we're going to call it 0 to 1,000. Else if, we're going to use else if, else and an if statement. Else if, Command or Control V, or bring in revenue. If it is less than 2,000, then we want to bring in the then and click the function. Then we want it, and we're going to just keep it the same way we did it in Excel, 1,000 to 2,000. Close quote. Okay. So basically what we're telling it, and the field that we're making is anything under 1,000, put it here. Else, if it's under 2,000, then put it here. Okay. But it's under 2,000 down to 1,000 because we already told it what to do with up to 1,000. And then else if again, and we can bring in revenue. We can also drag it in if we want to. Okay. And if that is under 3,000, then, and bring in the then function, quotes, we want it to say 2,000 to 3,000, close quotes. Else if again, bring in our revenue, less than, and this time we want it less than 4,000. Okay. Then we want it to say, and it'll bring it in between 3,000 to 4,000. Close our quotes. And then this time it's else, not an else if, just else. Okay. Anything 4,000 plus. And we don't need to bring it in because we have under 1,000, under 2,000, under 3,000, under 4,000. Everything else is over 4,000. So just else, and we just want it to be 4,000 plus, and then return. And one of the things that we need to do in Tableau is a lot of times we need to have an end. We tell it when our equation is ended, and notice it says this calculation is valid. So please do it this way. You have to do it this way, and we're going to do more calculations as we go along in other assignments. Okay. Apply it, and notice when I applied it, I have a new thing over here that says revenue groups, and everything is done in alphabetical order. So notice that our tables are all in alphabetical order, and then our measured values are in alphabetical order. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take revenue bin, and I showed you how to this so we can see how it looks. I'm going to pull that off. Okay, and I'm going to take revenue group, and notice it has this equal sign, equals ABC, revenue groups, and that means it's a calculated field, and I'm going to add it to the columns. And now notice what we have. Our 218, 85, 31, 24, and over 1,000, over 4,000 is 11, just like in Excel. Don't worry about it right in here. If it doesn't show this the way we want right now, it will when we build our dashboard. I'm going to go up here and get rid of revenue groups, hide field labels. I'm going to get rid of our count, hide this header over here on the left because we don't need it because we have our field labels and we want to keep it the color blue. We have now created our 5 sheets and we have all 5 of our charts. Okay, now we'll move on to actually build the dashboard. And to show you again what that looks like, here is what we built in Excel. On some, you'll notice that on other assignments, there it is. We have our sales dashboard title up here at the top. I just kept it like this so we can see what was going on, because it truncates down here at the bottom. So we have our title up here. So I don't need 2014 in all of these now, because I have my title up here. And then we have some slicers over here on the right. I'm going to show you a different way to do slicers. We're not going to show these to make it look a little bit better. But we will have slicers on there, and we'll have our title. All right, so now let's go ahead and build our dashboard. And just go ahead and click on our dashboard right there. We just keep it dashboard 1. And one of the great things down here that I like is notice that we now have over here to our left, I'll explain this because you already built a dashboard, at least one. The size of our dashboard right here. We have our sheets right here. And notice it doesn't say sheet 1, sheet 2, sheet 3. It actually has the names. So it's very easy for us, and it gives us a pop-up window that shows us what it looks like. So that way we can easily see it. Now, in Tableau, things are built in by containers. This is one of the way. And here are our objects. We have horizontal containers, which these are things I can put next to each other. Vertical containers on top or bottom of each other. I can add a text container. I can add an image container. I can add blank containers. And as we go along, we're going to get a little bit more and more sophisticated with this. And I'll show you the difference between tiled and floating containers. And this one I can click if I want to show the dashboard title. I don't want to do that. We'll just keep it as dashboard 1 right now because we are going to add a title to this using a text box. So the first thing I want to do here is change the size. I want our minimum size to be 1120, and we'll put our height at 960. Actually, 860 should be fine right there. So this is what it looks like. I just don't want to make it bigger so it goes off of this page right here. So how I did that is up here under size, under our range, minimum size, I just used my up down button, made it 1120, my height 860. Okay. And now what we're going to do right now is we're going to go ahead and drag a container. So drop sheets here, we're going to actually drag a container in. So this is a horizontal container. It has things on the left and the right. So we're going to take, and let me bring up our sheet. We have our sales trend at the top. Then these two charts, sales by salesperson, sales by region, top 5 customers, transaction, and then a title at the top. Okay. So I'm going to take our first one there, which I will do, which is sales by salesperson, and I'm just going to drag it in. And notice that this whole thing is gray, so it just fills up the whole area. And now I'm going to take sales by region, and now when I drag this in, notice I have a gray area at the top. I have a gray on the side. I can come down here, put in gray here, but I want it to the right. Okay, because we want it to go to the right of sales by salesperson. So notice now that it's on the right, and if I click it in there, it goes to the right. And we're looking at this going, ooh, I'm not sure how all of this looks. I'm going to bring that to the middle right there. And now I have this sales by salesperson, this little chart here, and this great big chart. So now, with this little chart here, this big chart here, I'm going to go up here to above sales by salesperson. And right now, right above it, it says standard. I'm going to click that drop down under standard, and I'm going to do entire view, which means this chart is going to take up the entire view. And now here's what it looks like. So it's taking up this entire view, and it doesn't look great at the moment, but watch what happens next. So we have our sales by salesperson, sales by region. Underneath that, we have our top 5 customers, and we also have our transaction by count underneath it. So let's take a horizontal container and let's put it down here at the bottom. So notice I have this gray area at the bottom covered. I'm going to put it there. And it just resized these charts. And so I'm going to take our top 5 customers and I'm going to drag it into this container there. and it's going to fill the whole container, which is fine because we don't have anything else in there. And then I'm going to take my transaction count, go into the same container, but put it on the right. And then I'll drag that to the middle. Okay. And then I will come up here, click on this part of the container, go to standard and do entire view. And notice how it is now starting to put together this dashboard for us very nicely, just dragging and dropping. Okay. We're going to add a couple other things because we also have our sales trend. So I'm going to take a blank container, come over here to the left, grab a blank container. I could add a vertical container, don't need it. Just a blank container. I'm going to go up here to the very top so that my top area is highlighted. Notice I accidentally did it here. I put the container in the middle. I'm just going to click the back button, get rid of it, go drag a blank container, put it at the very top. Okay, so there's two ways to do it. You can put it there at the top. And now we'll have to come in here and resize things here in a minute. Okay. Or if I come in here and do it at the very tippy top, let me see if that worked with the very tippy top where I'm all the way up. So it's doing the same, so it doesn't matter. We'll correct it in a minute. And I'm going to take my sales trend and just drop it into that container. And notice it's trying to put it two containers in there, one above the other. I'm just going to click and remove that one from the dashboard. So now I have my sales trend right there. And now I'm going to take a text container and put it at the very top. And notice when I did that, it popped up my text editor because it's like, okay, you're putting in a text container. What do you want it to say? And this is going to be our sales dashboard for 2014. So now reason why I don't need 2014 for all of the information. Tableau medium because it's going to be in the title. I'm going to make this a 18-point font because that's my title. I'm going to make sure it's a black text and center it. So what I did is Tableau medium, 18-point font. Under this was a gray color. I changed it to black and centered it. And click OK. And now I have my sales dashboard. And now let's go ahead and correct some of these sizes right here a little bit. So I'm going to click on this container down here at the bottom. And notice it has, and these are called handlebars up here at the top. Okay. And if you click on those handlebars, if I can get it to click on the handlebars. Okay. It should bring up, there we go, everything in that container. Now I'm just going to resize it a little bit so it looks better. So it resized these. Okay. I'm going to take my sales trend and I'm going to bring it up a little bit. Okay. Because I don't need my dashboard to be all that. I mean my title in my dashboard to take up that much space. I just need it for a title. And so here we have our dashboard. Now there's a couple things that we can do here. We can add some space, additional space between these. Okay. And that is called your buffer. Okay. So let's go up here to sales by salesperson. And I want to double click this handlebar so it's bringing up the whole container, not just one. I'm going to go here to layout and notice that we have padding here. Okay. And our padding is 0. Okay. So we have top padding, our outer padding, bottom and top. And what we want to do is I'm going to click on this outer padding, and I am going to do my top and my bottom. I don't want all sides equal, so I'm unclicking all sides equal. I want my top to be 4 and my bottom to be 4, my left and right to be 0. And what that did is that just added a little bit of room between these containers. So I can do 5, 6, and my bottom, the same thing right there. And now I'll go ahead and click out of here. I'll click on my dashboard, and it added a little bit of room between those. And so if I want a little bit more room down here on my bottom, I can click on this container. I can double click the handlebar, so it brings up the handlebar for both. I can adjust the size, but what I want to do is adjust my padding for the whole thing. So my outer padding, okay, uncheck all sides equal. I don't need to do the bottom because that's the bottom of our thing. I'll just do top. I'll put in 6 more, and now there's just a little bit more room between these, so it makes it look a little bit better. Now let's go ahead and talk about the slicer. What's one of the great things about Tableau is I can add slicers out here to the left. So if I was going to add slicers out here to the left, I'd go to the dashboard and I would bring in a vertical container and I would put it on the left side right here on the whole thing, and then we could adjust the size of this, and I can put slicers into this container. Okay, and we will do that in some other assignments, but on this one I want to show you something different. So if you did this, go ahead and click on that container and click the X, remove from dashboard. What we can do here is I'm going to go ahead and click on sales by salesperson, and when I do that, I have this pop up to the right. I can remove this sheet from the dashboard. I can go to the sheet. So let's say I need to make a change, and I can click and I can go to the sheet. It'll take me to the sheet here, and I can make changes. So if I want to change the color or anything, I can change it here, and I'll do that real fast. And then we'll undo it. Oh, I want that color. And notice that my dashboard changed. Okay. So I'm going to undo that. Okay. So that's what going to the sheet means. I'm going to go back to my dashboard. I have my green, but right underneath that it says use as filter. So if I've clicked on here, I'm going to click use as filter. Okay. And now I have my little filter highlighted. Now if I go ahead in here and click on Andrew's name right there, or Laura's name, or Maria, I can just click on that and it filters the dashboard. Okay. She doesn't have one in the top 5 customers. Her region is the Western region, and this is the transactions that she sold. And I can click on Andrew's name or Ann's name, or I can do Shift. I'd have to do it as more options. So I can go there and use this filter, and I can add additional items. But we're just do that. And I'm going to come here to sales by region and do the same thing. I'll click on sales by region and click use as filter. And now if I want to see the North region, I can click on that and it's filtered out. I can click on her, Nancy, and see Nancy's. I can click on her name again and it goes back. It clears out the filter. So if I click on North again, it clears out the filter. So this is where I want us to stop for this assignment. Right here, you now have a really nice dashboard and you have filters on it. Okay. So you can also, again, we can filter the entire dashboard. We can come down here and I can do transaction count by invoice amount. I can click on that and I can say, okay, who did the largest numbers? And we see that Andrew, Nancy, Maria, and Ann were the ones that have the 11 there. Company D, whoa, probably our best customer, and it was the East Coast that did the most. Okay. And we could see how they did. So April was a really good month. September was a really good month. July, wasn't as great. There's a lot of stuff going in July, vacations and holidays and celebrations. Same thing down here in December, which is normal for sales, by the way. So those of you in the sales industry know that February, March, and April are great sales months. September and October, and that July and December, the first of the year, is lower because other people are doing things. And I can always click on this again and it clears the filter. So make sure when you go to upload this that you're on the dashboard, because whatever sheet that you're on, when you go to upload it, it will upload that sheet as your sheet. And it will be what I will see. So make sure you're on the dashboard. Okay. Now, to upload it, you'll go up to your very top, and it's off of my recording area. So I'll go to File, Save to Tableau Public As. So up here, I have Tableau Public File, Save to Tableau Public As. And it pops up this sheet. You've got to sign in. So I've already signed in. So if you're signed in on the same computer you did your last assignment with, it'll show up. And you can highlight this as assignment T2. Okay. And just put in Sales Dashboard 2014 assignment and click Save. Okay. And now it will upload it to your Tableau. There it is. It's saving it. And now it will bring my up to Tableau Public. And here it is. Okay. So now for you to turn this assignment in, once you've gone to Tableau Public, and I can click on my name, it'll show all the different dashboards, and this is the one we just did. Okay. And so I have lots of them in different areas. Go ahead and click on your dashboard. Okay. Make sure you're on your dashboard. And then go up here to the very top for the URL. Click on that URL and notice it has, public.tableau.com, my name and the name of the dashboard. And this is where you Command or Control C, copy the URL, Command or Control C, and then go into Canvas and paste that into Canvas. And when you do, it'll allow me to come straight to there. Please do not go in to your profile and paste your profile in there, except for your other assignment. Paste the dashboard you created and uploaded. So we just recreated this dashboard. Good job. Go ahead and upload it. And very good job on your, in this case, it would probably be your second Tableau assignment. Thank you very much.